Hello, my name is Representative Pam Powers Hanley, and I represent LD9 in Tucson in the Arizona House. Well, tonight's video is a public health message about the flu. You might have heard that the COVID-19, the coronavirus that started in China, has now spread in other towns in China and has spread to other countries in Southeast Asia and up into Europe, and they're warning us in the United States that we're going to see some of this in the US also. And so I wanted to talk tonight about lessons from the flu pandemic of 1918. You might know that millions of people died worldwide in the 1918 flu. It was very devastating, and it had a particular impact on my family because both of my grandparents, both Grandma Springer and Grandpa Springer, lost their first spouses in the flu. I remember when I was a small child, Grandma Springer telling me that she really hoped that her husband Charlie wouldn't go to World War I because she was very anti-war and she was afraid he would be called to service and die in the war. At the end of the war, she was so excited that Charlie didn't have to go to war, but then Charlie died of the flu, unfortunately. So Grandma was very sad. And so what's interesting though is, like I said, both Grandma and Grandpa Springer lost their spouses in the flu, and then they met each other and they got married, and they had a yours, mine, and ours family in the early 20s with 3 boys from the first marriages and 2 little girls, including my mom, from their marriage. And so what was also interesting about the flu's impact on my family was the lessons that Grandma Springer taught my brother and I when we were small children. So for example, Grandma Springer had an elaborate collection of gloves. She never went out without gloves on. So she was mindful of not shaking somebody's hand and passing germs. So she didn't just wear, warm gloves in the winter. She wore little cotton gloves to church and to the store. The other thing that Grandma always did was she always covered her head, right? Again, we were in northern Ohio, it snowed a lot and it rained a lot, so covering your head's a good idea, but Grandma covered her head all the time. Hats, babushkas, she always kept her head warm. The other thing that she did was she always carried a hanky, and so she wasn't sneezing into her hand or anything like that. She always had a hanky. And so gloves, hats, hankies, 3 lessons from 1918. And to those, I would add 2 lessons from current day. For example, I hope you got a flu shot. Flu shots help a lot. And then the last thing I would like to suggest is you might not have a collection of cotton gloves to wear around like Grandma did, but instead of shaking hands with people, I would suggest the public health fist bump. I've been doing that in the office with people, and they said, yes, we shouldn't be shaking hands. So hats, hankies, gloves, public health fist bump, and a flu shot, and be well.